Colorado plays Nebraska this Saturday. Do you remember where we were last year? Do you remember where you were last year? Remember where the season was. So Colorado had come into the season. They went to TCU, fresh off TCU playing in the national title game, and Colorado goes in there and beats them pretty handily. And this was the week 2 game. So they're coming home, hype like you would not believe, and Matt Rule's coming in there with Nebraska, and this is an old rivalry renewed, and Colorado ends up winning the game. And then it's just off to the races. Like the Colorado hype machine was on full blast. We started having to pay the Dion tax in college football, and for those who don't remember what that is, just go look it up. It's a term we had to create for the amount of casual opinions that started to pour into the sport from people who barely can spell college football, let alone have ever watched it. But it was a good thing because it brought more eyeballs to the sport. But man, folks started to say some stupid stuff last year. So post-TCU win, they beat Nebraska last year. And we were asking, is Colorado really legit? Well, this year, they're coming off a very close competitive win against North Dakota State. And here we are once again asking, is Colorado, are they legit? Was that vintage North Dakota State they beat last week? Or was that just a ho-hum FCS opponent and they struggled mightily at home? Well, we will find out here. Now, last year in this game, Colorado-Nebraska, Colorado won 36-14. This was back in the Jeff Sims era. I say back in. This was last year. Jeff Sims was bad at quarterback for them. Nebraska had 4 turnovers in this game. Maddening to watch if you are a Nebraska backer. But Nebraska also sacked Shedeur Sanders 8 times in this game, and they should have success there again. First thing I'm focused on. Here's the difference. Unlike last year, when Nebraska got after Shedeur, they were just getting after him to take the ball to put it in Jeff Sims' hands. This year, when they get the ball taken away, it gets put in the hands of Dylan Raiola, who is a true freshman quarterback, who goes on the road. Well, he's not on the road, who is in a premier environment for the first time, even at home. Kind of a national profile game for the first time. You never know how a guy's going to handle that. I expect he'll be okay, but he is a much different weapon for them. The first time he touched a football in that building, he was a different caliber weapon for them at quarterback than anything they had had last year. Isaiah Nair, 6 catches, week 1, 121 yards, and a touchdown. Remember that name? Wyoming, then to Texas, Nebraska here. So they can do a lot more when they're given the opportunity. I think they will be able to do a lot more. But I'll tell you what else. They ought to be able to run the ball. They ought to be able to run the ball really effectively. Shedeur may be facing the toughest defense he faces all year here. We'll see how that statement pans out. But he's good enough. Shedeur Sanders is good enough to throw it on anyone. Travis Hunter's good enough to score on anyone. Horn, good enough to score on anyone. Nebraska can force longer drives here. I think one of the big keys when you watched Colorado against North Dakota State, big explosive plays they scored on was the key. And they'll do that to you if you're not careful, which is why Nebraska, there's a fine line of playing aggressive, but also being really smart and playing within your plan. And I think their plan will have some aggressiveness because they've got the personnel to do it, and they certainly got the defensive coaching staff to give them a major edge here. Nebraska's defensive coaching staff is a big tactical advantage in this game. Our grades in the model on these coaching staffs bear that out. But also, don't do it to the point where you almost got home, but Shedeur eluded you, and there's Travis Hunter all by himself. There's Horn all by himself. Don't allow that to happen. Don't think they will. And so if Colorado scores, and they probably will, if it's on a 9 or 10 play drive, so be it. 2 or 3 play drive, not acceptable. They've also got to flip the turnover script here. Last year, Nebraska had to be desperate because they got down and they had to throw the ball, and that led to more turnovers and Jeff Sims fumbling. You might end up putting Colorado in that spot this year. And either you do that or we find out that Shedeur operates seamlessly and they go into this environment and operate seamlessly, and that means Nebraska's not quite ready yet. 2 very divergent paths there, by the way. This game screams fireworks. I know it does. I know a lot of folks are thinking Dylan Raiola coming out party. Shedeur Sanders, we know what we have there. It's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. But let me just inform you, the model is blinking. There's a red light over here. and it's blinking both defenses having a major edge coaching-wise against the opposition. So we've got two-way D-edge here from a coaching perspective. Nebraska ran it for 222 yards in this game last year. That's the game. That's how you take all the variance out of it. If Colorado can't stop you running, and then you force them to go on long drives to score, what I just gave you the recipe for is an under. I'm not betting it yet because I think this may hit 60 or 61. When it does, I don't think it's a fireworks game as much as most other people I think will. I think we may have an under here. So, got a true freshman quarterback in Raiola. And by the way, Colin, let's take a look at what the model thinks here. The FanDuel line right now is Nebraska minus 7.5. The model is right there, 7. I thought it would be bigger on Nebraska, but it's not. A lot of points here. I think the run game plus the defense flipping the script from last year is going to be enough. I am going to take Nebraska to win this game, but because that half point is showing right now at FanDuel, I would take Colorado plus anything over 7. So I think it'll be a competitive game. I do think Colorado will hang here, more than hang. I think they've got a shot to win the game, and they'll be there at the end. I think that. There's a world where it's a blowout. I don't think we live in that world, but I think there's a world where that happens. But I'm going to take Nebraska to win, Colorado to cover. I'm more interested in the total. I just want to see what happens with that. I think we got a lot of over money that still has time to come in.